The research station on Krythos 9 shivered under the onslaught of another blizzard. Outside, sheets of ice and wind lashed the reinforced walls, making the entire outpost groan and rattle like a living creature. Inside, Dr. Ilara Voss hunched over a console, analyzing the latest behavioral data from the predator packs she had been observing for months. Every line of code, every sensor reading, seemed to hum with potential danger. She was alone, her only company the dim hum of the station's life support systems and the occasional crackle of a distant storm. Then a faint scratching echoed through the vent system above her head. Ilara froze, her pulse quickening. She had been warned about the predators, large, intelligent, and extremely territorial. Most of the guards patrolling the station's perimeter would not hesitate to shoot on sight. But this sound, soft, deliberate, was different. It didn't scream aggression, it hummed curiosity. A pair of glowing amber eyes peeked from the shadows at the corner of her room. Before Ilara could react, more eyes appeared, tiny but unnervingly focused. Predator cubs. She counted 6, maybe 7, their sleek black fur blending seamlessly with the dimness of the quarters. Their paws made no sound on the metal floor, yet the faint vibration under her feet told her they were there. The guards stationed in the corridor outside had seen the subtle flicker of movement on the sensors, but instinct held them back. They had been trained to approach threats with weapons drawn, yet something about this moment, a primal awareness they could not explain, kept them frozen. Not one of them dared step toward Ilara's door. The cubs approached her bed, circling carefully, their small heads tilting as if studying her. A strange silence filled the room, heavier than the howling wind outside. Ilara's fear warred with fascination. She had spent her life studying alien behavior, but she had never witnessed anything like this. The cubs didn't hiss, growl, or attack. They merely watched, eyes glowing faintly in the low light, every movement measured and deliberate. Ilara's mind raced. Were they testing her, protecting her, or simply curious? She had read stories of humans forming unexpected bonds with dangerous wildlife, but she had always dismissed them as anecdotal. Now she was living it. Slowly, she extended a hand, palm open, toward the nearest cub. The tiny creature froze, studied her fingers for a moment, then sniffed them cautiously before retreating slightly. A soft warmth spread through Ilara's chest, a mix of awe and relief. She realized these cubs were not predators in the traditional sense tonight. They were guardians, observers, silent witnesses to her presence. Outside, the guards shifted uneasily, their training conflicting with instinct. Even the harshest of humans, they thought, could sense when they were outmatched. The night stretched on, and the storm outside intensified. The cubs maintained their vigil, circling the bed with uncanny precision. Ilara lay down, eyes never leaving theirs, heart pounding in rhythm with the silent guardians. For the first time since arriving on Krythos 9, she felt an unspoken connection bridging the gap between species, one that promised mystery, danger, and an entirely new understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. And as the wind screamed against the station walls, not a single guard dared step inside that night. The storm outside Krythos 9's research station raged on, but inside, the atmosphere was eerily calm. Dr. Ilara Voss lay awake in her bed, eyes tracing the delicate movements of the predator cubs. They had settled into a tight circle around her, small bodies tense yet perfectly synchronized, like a living shield. Not a growl, not a hiss, not a single paw disturbed the metal floor. The cubs watched her with an intelligence that was unnerving, almost human in its depth. Ilara's first instinct was fear, but as the minutes stretched into hours, that fear transformed into fascination. She whispered softly, testing the unspoken bond she felt forming. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said, her voice low and steady. One cub tilted its head, amber eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Another crept closer, sniffing the air around her hand. The connection felt real, fragile, and profound. Outside, the guards remained frozen, their weapons still raised, but unmoving. The station's sensors picked up multiple lifeforms in her quarters, yet each guard felt a cold, inexplicable weight in their gut. None dared to enter. Something primal had taken control. A subtle acknowledgement that these humans could be more formidable than they appeared, even in the face of deadly predators. Time lost meaning. Ilara drifted between wakefulness and sleep, her mind alive with memories of Earth's wilderness. Her father had once told her stories of humans forming unexpected alliances with creatures others feared. She had scoffed then, but tonight those stories were alive. The cubs seemed aware of her thoughts, responding with tiny, careful movements, circling closer when she stirred, retreating slightly when she shifted. It was as if they understood not only her presence, but her intentions. Hours passed, and the storm outside began to show signs of easing. A faint light crept through the station's frost-covered windows, painting the cub's fur in silver streaks. Ilara's heart swelled with a strange sense of triumph, an unspoken victory of human intuition and courage over instinctive fear. The cubs, for all their lethal potential, were respecting her, protecting her. Then, without warning, one cub froze, ears pricked and tail stiffened. Ilara's pulse quickened. The others mirrored the reaction, forming a tight, coordinated circle. From the corner of her eye, she glimpsed shadows shifting outside her quarter's reinforced walls. The cubs were alert, ready to act. But instead of attacking, they simply waited, their amber eyes burning with purpose. Ilara realized something extraordinary. The predators recognized her in a way the guards could not. They saw her not as prey, not as a threat, but as someone worthy of respect. That recognition was humanity distilled into its rawest form: courage, intelligence, and a quiet, unshakable presence. By dawn, the cubs silently withdrew, melting back into the shadows from which they came. Ilara rose slowly, heart still racing, aware that the night had changed everything. The guards lingered outside, pale and shaken, unable to articulate the awe they felt. Somewhere deep within, they knew the balance of power had subtly shifted. Humans were no longer just fragile observers. They were beings capable of commanding loyalty and respect from even the deadliest predators on Krythos 9. And for the first time, Ilara understood that her role on this world would not be defined by technology or weapons, but by courage, empathy, and the unspoken bonds that transcend species. By mid-morning, Krythos 9's blizzard had finally softened to a relentless drizzle of icy sleet. The colony's perimeter sensors screamed in alarm. A massive predator, far larger than the cubs, was approaching. Its steps shook the ground beneath the reinforced walkways, and the guards scrambled to their stations, weapons drawn, hearts hammering. This was no ordinary patrol. It was the apex predator of the region, a creature whose size, strength, and cunning had earned legends among explorers. Ilara, alerted by the commotion, moved toward the observation window. Her chest tightened as she saw the creature's massive shadowed form moving with deadly precision toward the colony. The guards shouted orders, but their fear was palpable. They were trained to kill, but instinct whispered hesitation. None wanted to be the first to fire. A memory flickered in her mind, the silent circle of cubs from the previous night, their watchfulness, their intelligence, the unspoken communication she had felt. She stepped forward into the cold corridor, raising her hand slowly in a gesture of non-threat. "Wait," she whispered aloud, more to herself than anyone. Then movement. The cubs, unseen until now, appeared from the shadows. They moved with an eerie synchronization, darting between the predator's line of sight and Ilara's position, their small bodies agile and purposeful. They called softly, a sound no human ear could interpret fully, yet it resonated in the apex predator's consciousness. The great beast halted, massive head tilting, nostrils flaring. Its amber eyes scanned the area, and then slowly, recognition dawned. Elora's voice carried across the courtyard, calm but resolute. "I am not your enemy." The creature froze completely, muscles tense, weighing her presence. It sniffed the air, inhaling the strange essence of the human, of the cubs, of this colony that dared exist in its territory. The cubs circled closer, fearless despite the overwhelming size of the apex predator. They called again, tiny sounds layered with authority, and the massive creature's stance softened. Seconds stretched into eternity. The guards watched in stunned silence, unable